I'd like to know who it is online that we're talking with, our citizen member.
My name, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm a resident of Athens, Clarke County. My name is Roger Moore.
Okay, Roger. Well, welcome. Thank you for being there.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone else in attendance at this time?
I don't know.
No other.
Just the small
other
group,
residents,
just
Todd?
us.
Hey, I'm just trying to keep
Just
account of
us.
me.
Okay. Well, Roger, I think I heard you. You must have been referencing pickleball. I joined in the middle of the
Yes, I was.
conversation.
Yes.
Terrific. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Now, this
Okay.
meeting tonight is focusing on, and again, I apologize that I'm late to the conversation, but they may have told you it's focusing on a public input for the Bishop Pool and the surrounding amenities, to include a splash pad, and of course a playground. And that was the portion of the master plan that was approved to be putting on the SPLOST ballot by the mayor and commission, and ultimately voted on by the citizens. So while this round of money is focusing on that aquatics area, Todd, I would like for you to pull up the full master plan for Bishop Park, if you could.
Yeah. I've seen the master plan, and I did your survey yesterday.
Oh, terrific. Well, thank you for that. And I hope you'll encourage others to do the same. Did you reference your desire for pickleball in your survey?
Oh, yeah. You bet.
All right, good. Well, we want to keep record of that because as you can see in the master plan, we have recognized that there is a tremendous need for more courts, especially on the west side of town. So we have master plans some pickleball courts there at Bishop Park. And so, we've had some of these other meetings, in-person public meetings about this survey, and other pickleball players came out as well. So we enjoyed visiting with them and telling them that the more we hear from it, obviously that gives us more fuel and ammunition to be considering when the next available funding comes, where are our priorities? So while there's not funding currently on hand to build the new courts, part of our challenge is how do we address the pickleball need until such time that we do have funding. And that's the challenge. Now, we have, as you're probably aware, pickleball lines underneath those two covered courts.
Yes, I've played there.
Okay, how did you find the playing conditions?
Pretty awful. I've also played, I used to play tennis, or half play tennis. The pavilion is just the lighting and the glare, and it's just so weird that when we play tennis, we'd actually leave the pavilion and go play in the outdoor courts.
Right.
I've played in pavilions before in other locations, and they're never very good. And I don't know what it is, because pickleball players don't look up to see the ball nearly as much as tennis players do. We tend to keep the ball lower, and of course the court's smaller. But none of us ever went back to play pickleball in the pavilion. It's been, 4 or 5 years ago, I think, that I last played there. So there's something about
the surface of those courts have degraded a little bit since that time too.
Okay.
And we recognize that as well. When that was built with SPLOST funding back in '99, the intent was to come back and put walls and fully enclose it. We ran out of money, so we said, well, another round of funding would do that, and that another round of funding never came.
Okay.
So it's really a better event space than it is a court space. So,
as I say, the only thing I can think of is the lighting, because I've played in the indoor tennis courts over at UGA, and they didn't, and of course it's fully enclosed, so that didn't bother me at all. But even playing tennis in the pavilion, it's just, the only thing I can think of is the light contrast. The ceiling is dark, and then boom, right underneath the ceiling, it's real bright, and that's right, when you look up at all to see the ball, again, particularly in tennis, it's really distracting. But yeah, I know you're totally funding dependent, so
true.
You don't have a lot of choices.
Well, and I was in a meeting this morning with at City Hall with one of the commissioners with the manager's office, and we were getting questions about other parts of Bishop Park's master plan. And as I reminded the commissioner, we proposed the entire park to be funded. And unfortunately, you know, there was over $1 billion worth of projects submitted, and only, I think Keith can correct me if I'm wrong, but about less than 300 million worth of funds to distribute. So a lot of these projects pared down, and therefore they went with the highest priority, which is a pool that's extremely old and has significant repairs. And if they're not done, the pool is going to have to be shut down. So
it gets a lot of use.
It does get a lot of use, and so that's where we are. So I'll share with you what I've shared with other pickleball players in recent meetings.
Okay.
We have money every year for repair and maintenance of our facilities. Everything we have is on the life cycle program to get repaired every so many years. And that includes resurfacing all of our outdoor courts. So the courts up there by Sunset Drive, the three next to the pavilion, are scheduled for resurfacing in the next 12 to 18 months.
Okay, good.
And at the time we resurface those, we're going to visit the possibility of putting pickleball lines on those courts.
Good.
Good. If we do that, that not only will give us a pickleball option, but it'll give you the option of being able to play under the lights as well.
The only lighted place we have now is Satterfield.
Correct. Now, I say that, and when word gets out that that's a possibility, the tennis community is going to be in an uproar, right? They can play tennis recreationally with the lines down, with pickleball lines on the courts.
Oh yeah.
But if they start having tournaments, they cannot host tournaments on courts with pickleball lines.
Oh dear.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So therefore is the push and pull, the battle when you get in the middle of this between, you know, Clarke Tennis Association, Coney Tennis Association, and the Pickleball Association, which is the right way to go. And so that's an internal discussion that we're having as a staff.
You haven't found pickleball lines that you can make disappear when it becomes tennis tournament time, huh?
No,
when they have when they have a tennis tournament, they need more than the 6 courts that they have over by the tennis plaza.
Correct. I mean, we have, as a matter of fact, they bid on a tournament last year that the tennis center, the new tennis center where we have 12 courts, and the 9 courts that we have at Bishop Park was not enough courts to handle the tournament.
Including the ones in Southeast Park.
Correct. 21 courts total. 21 courts total was not going to be enough, but this was a statewide tournament. So the more courts we take away from tournament play, the smaller the tournaments we can attract.
Okay. And the bigger tournament, the better it is for the community, and hopefully the better it is for income.
Well, true, Roger, but let me tell you this too. Pickleball also brings in people wanting to play tournaments and can potentially bring in revenue. And you mentioned that a moment ago as well. When they did the big tournament at the Classic Center, it was very popular.
I know, I worked it.
Right.
I was a scorekeeper.
So we recognize, as a staff, there's a need. And part of our internal discussions is weighing how many tournaments a year would tennis realistically get, and is that worth the sacrifice, or is putting pickleball lines a better service to this community that can happen on an ongoing basis and not just tournaments?
Okay, well, let me throw a wrinkle in. When you have a tennis tournament, who administers and actually runs the tournament?
The ones we've had so far has been the Clarke Coney Tennis Association.
Okay. Okay, when we have as I mentioned, we had our first pickleball tournament in Bishop Park on the 6 courts over by the tennis plaza, and then subsequent ones, as you say, have been in the Civic Center. As a club, we're totally volunteers. There's nobody paid. So we have the problem of, oh, we're going to run a tournament, and it turns out to be a lot of work when you're using all volunteers and you burn them up. And so we thought about it, wait a minute, we're never going to have more than one tournament a year without burning ourselves out of volunteers. So
Right.
maybe that's a difference. If you're going to have pickleball tournaments and rely on the local club, you're going to burn up your volunteers. But if you're going to run tennis tournaments and you have a professional staff from Leisure Services or wherever, you know, then you can have more tournaments per year if that's your desire. So there's an administrative difference there, I think, between tournaments that needs to be thought out.
Very true. And understand, though, the only tournaments we host in either one of those sports, we only play the role of host agency. The group itself, be it pickleball or CODA, are the ones that recruit and run the tournaments, as you know. So that's probably part of the reason why CODA is also not putting on more than one tournament a year currently.
Yeah. Do they have a paid staff at CODA? Does CODA have a paid staff?
They do. They have a paid staff person, and they have a
board.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
It's a part-time position, but they do have a paid person.
They're much more durable then for running tournaments than the Pickleball Association then.
Well, understand they've been doing this for a lot of years too. That tennis association's been in place for many years. So it took a while before they reached that level.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the lines, putting lines on a tennis court and for pickleball, and then a movable pickleball net. When we play in the Civic Center, we put down lines with tape on the concrete floor, and that works fine. I don't know how, and there is a specific tape that we order online that works. I don't know how long that tape would last outdoors. In other words, if you put tape down on some of the tennis courts at Bishop, with, you know, in public use and the weather and so forth, if the tape would last for, you know, 2 or 3 months in the summer, that might, and then you take it up and throw it away when there's a tennis tournament, that might work. On the other hand, if the tape only lasts a week or two, that's not going to work.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That might be something you can explore. Again, we get our tape through the National Pickleball Association. You might have Leisure Services contact them and see if there is a tape that's more durable for outdoor use and what's its life expectancy. And again, I have no idea what the answers to those questions are, because we've only done it indoors. You know, we only use it 3 days. So,
right.
And it works fine for 3 days. It works real well, in fact.
Well,
but that's not going to solve your problem.
No, but I appreciate the suggestion, and we will explore it. It could even be before we painted the lines, we could try some tape and see what kind of response. A lot of things happen because you build up that justification and support.
Yeah.
So if it could be perhaps when we first resurface the courts, we start with tape to see how much demand there is there for pickleball at that location.
Yeah, and how long
it may help us, and how long the tape lasts, and that may help us justify painting the lines.
Yeah, and we have no trouble with portable nets like we're using at Satterfield. So
right,
you know,
I understand that.
Two or three of us set up a net in less than 10 minutes. So, and then take them down and put them in the storage box over in the corner. That system's working fine at Satterfield.
Yes, I've heard that same thing from others. So, you know, the challenge pickleball's throwing at us is it's growing faster than not just our community, but most communities can keep up with.
Yeah.
It has been one of the fastest growing sports. Most of the sports we've ever hosted that have started here in Clarke County have had a slow growth and therefore we were able to keep up with the facility demands along with the participation growth. This one has been complete opposite. I mean, the participation has grown at a much faster rate than the capital funding has been allowing us to keep up with the demand on the facility. So,
as I mentioned, it's an easy sport to get into, and for the participant, it's inexpensive. A couple of balls and a paddle and a good pair of shoes, and you're in business. Anything else I could maybe comment on?
You are aware that the play goes indoors during school at East Athens and Lay community centers, right?
Yes.
Have you played indoors? Okay.
Oh yeah, I played at both the community centers and also at the middle school on Alps Road. We've used that gym in the summer in pre-pandemic.
Right.
We've played everywhere. Any place we can get, we've tried it.
You can get it. I understand. Yeah, our gyms are closed to pickleball in the summer because we host camps for kids.
Yeah, right.
When school starts back, then the mornings are free, and it's easier for us to host. So I tell you one thing you can help us with certainly is, as you indicated, you filled out that survey, and I greatly appreciate that. We really want to get input because I know a lot of pickleball players also use our pools themselves. They have children or grandchildren that use the pools. So we really would like to hear more and more from some citizens, and it's also an opportunity for them to speak up about pickleball while they're filling out the pool survey, and we would appreciate hearing from as many people as possible.
Yeah, well, the president of our club, Nelda, sent out an email, I'm going to say 3 or 4 days ago, and that was one of the points in her email was speak up, and she gave the contact for this meeting, and so that went out to probably close to 200 pickleball players in the greater Athens area. So we know about it.
Well, I've heard from 199 of you.
Oh, right.
So
good.
you could tell Nelda that it worked.
Okay.
Because the voice is getting out there. But we certainly don't mind. We appreciate all the input we can get, and we recognize the concern about over lack of courts, and we really want to help meet that goal. We've just got to figure out, in lieu of the funding that we do have, what's the best way to make it happen.
Yeah, I know. I've worked with public parks before. You gotta juggle use and maintenance costs and budget, and it's a constant juggling act. I realize that.
Well, I appreciate your understanding of that as well, Roger.
Yeah. I worked on designing parks in the greater Boston area years and years ago. So.
Oh, wow. Then you do have terrific experience.
Yeah, I'm a landscape architect by training. I retired from UGA.
Okay.
Yeah, but in my day we didn't have pickleball, so I.
Well, do you have other questions of us that we can answer?
No, I don't, and I've reviewed looked through the master plan before some time ago for Bishop Park, and the master plan for Southeast Park also. So.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we master planned Southeast Park, pickleball didn't exist at that time. So
well, we were sure fortunate. We were sure happy to get those 6 courts when you remodeled the 2 tennis courts. Well, it was 3 or 4 years ago, I guess now. And we just keep barking at you. How about some lighting? I guess I don't need to do that refrain. You've heard that one, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yes, I have. And shade is the other one, Roger. Shade over there, we recognize it's also a challenge.
Yeah, some kind of pavilion or roofing of some kind would be nice.
Right.
But we're happy to have the courts. Let me emphasize that. So, and they're working great for us. They're holding up well, and we use them a lot. If I go over there in the morning about 8:30, 9 o'clock on even warm days like today, the courts are full almost all the time. There's at least 24 players there.
Right.
And I'll bet you right now there's 24 players there right now. So
you're probably right. I was by there yesterday and saw the full course. So You're probably right.
Okay.
Well, thank you for
Sure.
your time. We appreciate you jumping in and being our sole audience member, at least so far
Okay.
this evening.
Yeah. Are you Keith or Todd? Whom is your name
This
Keith
is,
Sanders?
no, I'm Kent Kilpatrick. I'm the director of Lead
Oh,
Service.
okay. You couldn't get, you don't show up in the box here. Oh, you show up as a telephone. Okay.
Right, exactly. I was the one having the issues. Me and technology are not always friends, as Todd and Amy can tell you.
You're calling user number 2.
But usually I always get it to work, and for whatever reason tonight it just wasn't cooperating. So
Okay.
that's why I'm
Glad
on
you
the
got
phone.
on by phone.
Me too.
Okay. Well, guess what? I'm going to go play pickleball.
Good for you, Roger. I hope you enjoy it, and feel free to reach out to us anytime if you got questions or other things you want to provide input on. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Good to talk with you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye. Okay, Amy, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. Todd's still there?
Yep, everybody's still here. And I think,
All
and then
right.
also just a reminder, we're still live streaming to YouTube. So if you did want to make kind of a presentation about what, like, general overview of the project, that's something that we could keep and post. That might be helpful. Or that might be something we could do and post it as a video on the website for future folks, like specific to this project, to provide more information.
Okay.
Or we could just wait to see if more folks want to hop in. I know it's advertised as a drop-in. I think on a previous meeting where we didn't have any attendees, I think Mel just held the space for a while, and then we maybe like 40 or so minutes. So whatever you would like to do. So, but we are still currently streaming to YouTube. So we're being recorded live.
Okay. Well, I'd like to obviously give the opportunity for a few more, any more public attendees to show up,
Sure.
so we can give it a little bit longer for that purpose. And if we need to talk about the purpose of tonight for the sake of the recording, we can certainly do so while we're waiting.
Okay, sure. I'll let you y'all get to it then. And I'll let you, I'll
Okay.
pause you if somebody logs in.
Okay, you could just interrupt me. I mean, I won't be long. Basically, I'm just going to, I want to be sure to inform people that we are collecting the public input through this month for the Bishop Park pool replacement project. This does have other amenities besides just the pool. We have received SPLOST funding for that area of Bishop Park, that portion of the master plan. That includes a swimming pool. We're looking at the addition of a splash pad, also a new bathhouse and shower facility, hopefully being able to replace the playground that is there currently. And if funding even lasts, potentially putting in a covered shelter adjacent to the pool and splash pad that is wonderful for group outings, birthday parties, things of that nature. The pool is being approached first in this project because of both its age and its condition. There is leaks in that pool that is costing taxpayer dollars, and those are dollars that could be better spent to other areas of our parks. And we've tried everything we can to repair that pool. It's past the point of being repaired, and our only option now is to rebuild. But as we rebuild, we want to look at things and hear from the public the type of things that they would like to see in a new pool. Some of those may be, and what we've heard some citizens so far is potentially more swimming lanes. Do the swimming lanes need to be longer? Do we need starting blocks? Do we want a diving well If so, how deep do we want to deep end? Do we want a zero depth entry into that pool? When we go to build a playground, do we want to make it accessible, and do we want it fully accessible, partially accessible? We think accessibility and inclusion play is a real important element. So what does that look like from people who are interested in a playground? The splash pad feature would be new for Bishop Park. We have a very successful one at Walker Park now. It's been there for several years. And we have a second one at Rock Springs next to their pool. You can go places around the country and you'll see splash pads that are connected to zero depth entry pools. You see splash pads that are separate amenity from a pool. Do you have a preference one way or the other? If not, what are the kind of, or even if so, what are the kind of things within a splash pad that you would like to see? Is there features in a pool bathhouse, such as showers, and how many showers do we need, or how many fixtures in a pool bathhouse? Should it be a standalone facility or connected to the existing building? I believe if Todd has the plan up there on the screen, you can see the current plan shows that bathhouse connected to a brand new building, so that if you're in the facility, you can go right into the shower locker room space and then change and right out onto the pool deck. We don't have the funding currently for that building, but it doesn't mean we couldn't design the shower bathroom space for the pool to have that future expansion and connection down the road. So is that important, or is a standalone facility going to operate just fine? So there's a lot of potential things you can include in this survey, and we would like to hear from citizens about all of their ideas. We welcome those. As I said, the survey is open online through the balance of this month. All of that input is very important to us, because our next steps in this project is that we have a user group that consists of both staff and citizens, and that user group will take the feedback from all of these surveys and go through that information as we begin to design a concept for what this new pool and the surrounding amenities would look like. So once that concept is developed, it gets approved by the mayor and commission. But let me back up a step. We'll take that concept back out to the public again, so you'll have the opportunity to give us input about the project concept, and then it'll go to the mayor and commission for a vote on that concept before we start moving toward construction drawings and construction stage. So this is not the only opportunity the public will have to give us feedback on it, but it is one important step, because it's going to help shape the concept for this project going forward. A lot of people are asking, similar to the gentleman we just talked to about pickleball, about other amenities in Bishop Park. We obviously welcome other comments. The full park does have a master plan that includes the moving of some amenities. As we described, there'd be a new building that would be larger for a very vast and growing gymnastics program. We do have pickleball courts that show up on a master plan. So a lot of things are being addressed from what we heard previously on the community when the master plan went out and got some input a few years back. So even though we may not have funding for other amenities, we welcome input for things at Bishop Park that people feel like are important going forward, because we want to document those so that when the next round of funding does come our way, there is some information we can fall back on what citizen interest exists. So that's the spiel about this evening and what the meeting is about. I do want to just encourage you to go online and fill out that survey, and we appreciate all the input we get.
Thank you.
So Amy, with that.
I think, well, and if you would also, I think Todd also has the website pulled up. If you want to, you mentioned we want folks to complete the survey, but if you can, I think Todd could also show a little bit about the page so that they know what they're looking at when they get there too, in terms of our web address, accgov.com/leisure services listens. And then we have all of our individual projects there. And then for this project, I mean, there's a separate where it says comment on this. But then we have a project spotlight that'll take you to the survey as well as the individual project page. So there's a lot of ways to get there as well.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you covering that, Amy.
Sure.
So shall we hold on for, let me see, it's 6:40. Let's hold on another several minutes and see if we get someone to show up.
Sure.
Well, you just certainly let me know when you speak up. I'll know we have another audience member, and we'll jump in if that becomes the case.
So Kent, we still, it's just us still. I didn't know, would you like to wait for the duration of the, like all the way till 7:30 or just wait till 6:45? What did you kind of envision?
Yeah, I think if by 6:45, I mean, that's just a couple of minutes. If somebody hasn't dropped in by then, most likely they will not.
Okay.
Is there a way